The goal of this 3-month period is not to control outcomes, but to be ready for mystery and magic. I don't intentionally search in this season. Instead, I learn languages and improve my health and get clear about what I want and heal and become a more magnetic, healed, beautiful person so that when those things do come into my life, I am ready.
It's Friday evening. It's very extremely warm in my apartment. So I'm going to go for a teeny tiny walk in the hopes that the streets are a little cooler. And I'm going to get an early night because tomorrow's Pride.
Existir, te elijo a ti, te lo voy a repetir, te elijo a ti, siempre voy a insistir, te elijo a ti, ya no quiero sufrir, te elijo a ti. Lo que siento es tan fuerte, no elegirte, ahora que estás aquí.
Siempre que te pregunto de cuándo, cómo y dónde, tú siempre me respondes quizás, quizás, quizás. Y así pasan los días y yo desesperada. Y tú contestando, quizás, quizás, quizás. Pensando por lo que más tú quieras, ¿hasta cuándo? ¿Hasta cuándo? Y así pasan los días y yo desesperada y tú contestando quizás, 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 quizás.
Buen dia! The thing about having curly hair is that it will just, okay, it's not fully dry yet, but it will just randomly betray you. Like, yesterday I didn't see anyone, I didn't film myself, and my hair was flawless. I think I'm actually just gonna have a shower again. I'm not in an emotional space to handle having bad hair today. Yesterday, I don't know what happened, I just got so incredibly anxious. Out of nowhere. Well, out of nowhere, I had an iced coffee and a half. That's on me, I guess. And it was like very weird anxiety as well. Like it wasn't my normal kind. I was just like completely freaked out. I really thought that like, I got in my head that like someone in my life here like really didn't like me all of a sudden. And I completely spiraled about it. But like someone who I really love, you know, someone who I really like having in my life. I was like, they're never gonna speak to me again. Out of nowhere, as I was literally on my phone in my notes app, like spiraling about this, they texted me and they were like, do you want to come over? And there was a storm last night, like this amazing electrical thunder and lightning situation. So I didn't sleep that well. And I've been trying to get up consistently early in the morning. And this morning I woke up at like 7 a.m. and just couldn't move. Just was like, I don't have anything in me. So I've been being very consistent and motivated recently. And this morning my body was just like, I don't have an inch. I am a nervous wreck. The nervous system is shot. And so I ended up sleeping till like 10:30. And it's raining today, it's super grey. I think I'm gonna take it easy. I think like I've been doing very well and I've been taking care of myself very well and I want to continue with that. But I also am in a season of life that is kind of nuts and I think it's okay when that does catch up with me. Just like give myself some softer time. So I'm gonna try and have a soft day today. Later on today I'm going over to my friend's house, cooking dinner, and we're gonna like watch some TV together and stuff and just have a really cozy little time. Funnily enough, when I was thinking about anxiety and social anxiety and stuff, I was thinking about like the fact that a lot of people, usually this has been a problem for me because I know a lot of people like come away from a lot of hangs with people and like overanalyze them, have a lot of emotional reaction to just that one hang with that one instance of hanging out, and they read a lot into it and they put loads of pressure on it, and then afterwards they spiral. They're like, was that a fun enough hang? Was I cool enough? Are they going to still want to be my friend? And I think maybe a little bit when I was a teenager I had a couple of friendships like that, but in general I've never been like that because I've always understood that like friendship is like this very like slowly accumulating and building thing, and that like it's not based on one afternoon, or like if you're low energy on one day or if you're sleepy on one day it's like not the end of the world. But I was thinking like, yeah, because it can't be duende all the time. And for those of you who don't know, duende is this like concept in like Andalusia, like the south of Spain, in like the flamenco dance world. This moment when it all comes together and the artists are playing music and dancing, and it's not just their talent and skill, it's like something possesses the room and there's this moment of just like flow, kind of just everything just coming together into this like wonderful, like miraculous little creative moment. I think if you're any kind of creative person, like you're often just like in search of that duende moment, and I think it happens like with everyone. Like I think these moments when you're writing and you're like, oh, this is really like, I feel possessed, like this is all really working, and at the time when it feels like much of a slog. When I had the thought of like, it can't be duende every day, with friendship, it just makes sense to get so emotionally involved in like every single second or something and always be like anxious about it, because I then was like, wait, I don't think I know that about other aspects of life. And I think I put loads of pressure on like every single, I think I'm always chasing that high of like being in flow, and I'm not very good at like being calm when I'm just sort of doing the mediocre day to day. Because I think like a lot of creative work is just like showing up, not getting into this amazing flow and not writing anything that's really amazing, but just like showing up every day. And it's not that I lack the discipline. The discipline part of that's fine. It's just that when I show up every day and do like mediocre work so that one day I'll be sitting at my desk when the duende comes, I like find it really, I really like get too emotionally invested in that, and I get too like freaked out that I'm like bad at everything. And I think that's like one of my key problems, and I think that's true in like life as well. Like I think I want to be feeling like, because I think I often do feel like so like turned on and excited by life, but I think when I'm not feeling that, I like pursue it too intensely. And I think that's what happened yesterday. I think I really wanted to be dancing to the music of the city, and so I drank like too much coffee trying to get myself to a place, and then I just ended up like making myself an anxious wreck. And I wrote something on my phone yesterday as I was walking around about this. Oh yeah. There is something vaguely violent about the way I insist on joy, throwing caffeine into my body so that I'll feel inspired until my limbs shake, playing a jolly tune in my earphones as I walk to drown out the lumps in my chest, gestures somehow without grace, without gentleness, the pursuit of joy without respect for melancholy as something completely crude, almost brutish. Yes, that's it. I pursue feeling good inelegantly like a brute. That's something I've been thinking about a bit. I was on the phone with my mum a while ago, and I found myself saying that that things were so chaotic for a while there that peace on some level wasn't an option. And so I sort of tried to balance the bad chaos with good chaos, with fun chaos. And maybe I was a little wild and just doing a lot of things and being a little bit wild and out of control because my life wasn't going to be peaceful. There was enough going on that was driving me crazy in a distinctly bad way. And so for a lot of the spring, I would say I was also being a bit crazy in a bit of a wild way, because I was like, peace is an option and I don't want to drown in this decidedly negative chaos, so I'm going to create some positive chaos for balance. And I respect that as a move, but in hindsight, I think that is I didn't like think that consciously, but in hindsight I think that was like the logic of my actions when I look back on some of the weirder choices I made in the last few months. And I think that it's possible that I have made that calculation more times in my life than I thought I did. Like once I found myself saying that I lied to my mom, I was like, oh, like how often do I start from a place of, well, peace isn't an option, so what am I gonna do? I'm quite an intense person. I'm quite excessive. I like to be in extremes, and it's not just that I like to be in extremes. I think also like my health and my history and the last 15 years have made it so that like extremes were kind of how things played out anyway. But I think what I'm realizing is I need to like challenge this core belief that I'm not a peaceful person, because all humans are capable of peace. Intensity can be good, and being really like, and when they can be good, but it's not something that like you can count on every day. Do you know like that one of the hallmarks of addiction, like one of the things that make things addictive, such as gambling and so forth, is what's the word I'm looking for? The unpredictable outcome. We get very addicted to things, to people, to substances, to whatever, relationships, to hobbies, practices, whatever, where where you get a different result each time. Like you don't always get the dopamine you want, because if something is kind of like, that's why people like famously like get very caught up in relationships where they're treated poorly and things like that, because you have an experience of something giving you this amazing high, this amazing joy high, and then the next time you go back to it, it doesn't give you that thing, but like that incredible serotonin dip makes you crave that high even more and makes you go back to it more, because you're kind of like driven crazy by the fact that you can go to this place, this thing, this hobby, this mindset, and sometimes it gives you these amazing results and sometimes it doesn't. I think sometimes I'm learning that with like certain bad habits related to like creativity, flow, trying to get my body to feel good in a very specific way, trying to feel energetic in my day, I'm like pursuing these like weird little life duende highs, and they come to me inconsistently and then I like sometimes go nuts. I think that's how I ended up having like an anxiety spiral last night, because I just put so many like things in my body and like yanked myself in so many different directions emotionally. All this to say, I'm going to try and rewire whatever part of me is like, I'm not peaceful. Enjoying life when it's just like chill. I think I'm trying to like I think I mentioned this in my last video, but I'm quite a positive person a lot of the time, and so I tend to like kind of romanticize whatever is right in front of me, or like if things are going a certain way, if I'm acting a certain way, or if I feel a certain way, or if I think something is inevitable, I will accept it very quickly and then kind of just be like, this is actually better, or this is actually fine. And I'm trying to be like, no, I deserve things. I talked about this in my last video, like I deserve a full glass. Seeing glass half full, cool. I deserve a full glass. And I think like deserving peace is an idea that is like deserving feeling peaceful, because obviously life isn't peaceful, that's fine, but like I would like to make a home in myself that like where I recognize peace as myself. Like when I feel peaceful, I'm like, ah yes, here I am back in my room, you know, back in myself, back in my natural setting. Right now, whenever I do feel peaceful, I almost feel uncomfortable, because I'm like, this is foreign territory. So those are just some thoughts of a very rainy Thursday. I don't really know where they came from, but yeah, do with that what you will.
And honey.
It's Sunday. I have had a very relaxing day. It's like 4 p.m. I'm very, very sleepy today. I'm also developing a cough, I think, so I'm just trying to take it really easy so it doesn't turn into anything. But I've been feeling really peaceful today. There's been a very nice Sunday energy today. I have done absolutely nothing and it's been glorious. I spent a lot of this morning just like watching like YouTube videos, but everything I watched was really weirdly peace-giving and like beautiful in a way that made me very like excited in a very like naive and childlike way to just like be a person but also like, I don't know, make stuff and be in this world of internet creativity. I listened to the very beginning of a podcast with Mandy Patinkin and Catherine Grody, who I'm kind of obsessed with, even though it made me really sad in a way, but that's the whole other thing. At the very beginning, Catherine Grody said something about how she regards being a mess as like a really important thing. Now, in the context of AI, more and more as the world becomes robots, like being messy is such an intrinsically human thing to be that it's kind of an act of like affirming humanity over like robots. I really loved that, and I really liked, you know, I am in this period where I think I am feeling a little bit like, ugh, there's a part of me that's sort of trying to feel like I need to have more control over things, and just that reaffirmation of like, Fergie, the reason you feel like a mess is because you're not AI has actually been very, and like the intrinsic ambiguity of life and the intrinsic chaos is actually very like, well, it's intrinsic, so there we are. I had a really nice night last night with a really lovely group of friends, and we had like the funnest time. We had a very interesting conversation about like, 'cause two of us met at a book event that was very much that intersection of like leftist like thought and politics mixed with like spirituality, like that kind of, and like poetry. And we were talking about meeting there, and I was talking about how my first impression of them and probably their first impression of me was probably kind of odd because of how people speak to each other in those spaces, and the irony of like vulnerability as a major topic for a space and like a space for conversation, but like how those spaces create their own language where everyone performs that vulnerability in a very particular way. And I've been thinking about how like, I think for me a major journey or something is like trying not to like always put myself in the font of the room that I'm in, because I think I am authentic. Like I always have the same thoughts and experiences and like things to add and contribute, but I feel like I sometimes convert myself and my voice and the way I present them into like the font or like the tone of the space I'm in. And I sort of try not to do it like intentionally, but I often do without wanting to. But we had a very good conversation about that, which I really enjoyed. Anyway, I've been mostly sleeping today. I think I had a really nice Sunday because I had no expectations for myself. And I think I'm going to go right in a cafe for a little bit, if only to enjoy the air conditioning of said cafe, and because I just really feel like it. But no expectation that I'm going to come home, eat a bowl of tofu pasta, and put myself to bed before like 8 p.m. A perfect Sunday.